Hello, everybody. This is Nanette Kennedy with Humanity's Team in the Evolution Revolution. And Happy New Year to all. This is our first 2021 gathering, and we're glad to see you here. And if you're listening via the recordings, we're glad to have you listening. Uh, we are reading The Storm Before the Calm. Did I just say that backwards?
The
Um,
calm before the storm.
yeah.
You
And
said it
so,
right. It's the storm before
It's
the
the
calm.
storm before the calm.
right. Okay. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and get started. And Linda, our infamous reader, will get us all caught up to where we are. And I hope everybody had a decent holiday season given all the side shows we've got going on. But I thought about you all last Sunday. So, all right, Linda, take it away.
Okay, hi everyone. So we are on conversation 25. I believe that we said we were going to go back and read this list again. Um, so the list actually in my Kindle starts on page 203, but I'm going to just read the beginning paragraph that introduces it as well. So conversation 25 on page 203 starts, "There's not a thing we can do about any of this." As we gather with others to begin our conversations and to write our new future story, I wonder if we can agree on some common objectives. Here are mine. How do these line up with yours? For my part, I'm hoping our new story will produce these outcomes. And then here's the list. 1. An acceptance at last of the true identity of all humans as an aspect and individuation of divinity. 2. Embracing by more and more people, ultimately millions, of the truth of the oneness of all life and of humanity. 3. An understanding of why we are here upon the earth, a clarity as to the soul's agenda. 4. An end to abject poverty, to death by starvation, to mass exploitation of people and resources on the earth by those in positions of economic and or political power. 5. An end to the systematic environmental destruction of the planet. 6. An end to the domination of our culture by an economic system rooted in competition above cooperation and in the continuing quest for economic growth. 7. An end to the endless struggle for bigger, better, more. 8. An end to all limitations and discriminations holding people back, whether in housing, in the workplace, or in bed. 9. Providing at last an opportunity, one that is truly equal, for all people to rise to the highest expression of self. And 10. Not putting into place not putting into place of social adjustments for the sake of social correction, but as a living, on the ground demonstration of who we really are as a species. So that's the list. We read this whole chapter, I believe, last week, but we wanted to come back and talk about the list.
Right. Well, can you do me a favor and tell me what chapter it's in because my pages aren't numbered or.
It's chapter 25.
All right. Thank you. Sorry to
No.
interrupt.
So do we want to talk about that list or?
I don't really have anything to say except wouldn't it be nice?
Right. Well, what should we do? I mean, I can go on to chapter 26.
Does Shabana have something to say?
I do. I do. How did you know? I just got off Neale Donald Walsh's e-treat, where he was discussing the new book which Linda owns.
Yeah. Yeah.
How far have you read in it, Linda?
I'm maybe a third of the way in.
And what's the title?
The God Solution, the Power of Pure Love. What'd you think, Shabana?
Well, I mean, it was beyond amazing. I mean, I've been to one one retreat with you. And this one was basically saying, like, it addressed it addressed the whole list, but from a completely different perspective. And I will summarize it in as few sentences as possible. He says love is a feeling, and each one of us, like, that's the only thing that anybody can agree with about God, is that stop calling him names like Jehovah or Allah or Rama or Krishna. Forget that. See God as a feeling, one. Second, accept responsibility for the fact that each of us has incarnated here now to change the world. So our mission is to be as loving as possible. And there's a huge difference. Like he says, there is only love, and then there's distorted love. And basically, what it boiled down to was give away whatever it is that you want. So if you want love, I mean, it was rehashing the same stuff, and he recited 15 of the 25 principles. But the difference, and what was so remarkable about this particular retreat, was that he said we need to choose gratitude and to always remember that there are billions of people who have no clue whatsoever why they incarnated. And our job is to is to ask ourselves a question before we do anything, is to say, is this pure love that I'm expressing? That's the only question. It's sort of similar to what would Jesus do? But he says, go inside your heart and ask yourself whether what we're expressing is love. And I think that what he said today and this latest book is sort of the icing on the cake. if anybody, has any questions, I'd be grateful. But it ran over time by a half hour, but it was absolutely remarkable. And Linda, he didn't repeat the story that he normally does.
Let me read. This is on page 37 out of the new book. Let me read this paragraph because it will sum up what Shabana is describing. He says, interestingly enough, I marked this with, oh, you can't see it because my virtual background, but I actually highlighted it and marked it with a red flag because it is this one paragraph, basically. I think the whole book is summed up in this one paragraph. By looking at God's feeling, not through the lens of what some dogma or doctrine has told us, but through the window of the soul, which is God in us, and then melding that feeling into our emotion, we are utilizing an enormously effective transformative tool. With it, we can expand an energy inwardly and project an energy outwardly that can change life for the better forever.
What's the page number?
37.
37. Can you read it one more time, Linda?
Sure. By looking at God's feeling, not through the lens of what some dogma or doctrine has told us, but through the window of the soul, which is God in us, and then melding that feeling into our emotion, as we are utilizing an enormously effective transformative tool. With it, we can expand an energy inwardly and project an energy outwardly that can change life for the better forever. Let me read another paragraph. God's feeling, that is, how divine energy is experienced, will always be most accurately described as pure love. When we meld the essence of our mentally produced emotion and our spiritly produced feeling, we raise the vibration of the overall energy with which our body is filled and which we send into the world. So if I can summarize what he's saying here, and we've talked about this in many other ways, but what he's saying here is that, number one, we are each God in form. So if in any moment we understand that God is having a feeling through us, it may not be our body's feeling. It's a different feeling because our body, our physical housing, is going to have a feeling as well. But God is also through us having a feeling in that moment. And if we can align with that and use that to guide our emotions, because our emotions are a result of our feelings. So who's generating it? Is it the body, which is another word of saying the ego, or is it divinity's expression through us? It's the real roadmap to understanding how this works.
How beautifully you've summarized it, Linda. I wish you'd been there.
Oh no, I can't contribute to those. Only he wants to interpret his work. He doesn't like help.
I noticed that.
No, he doesn't like help.
No. There was a reverend who came in, I mean, a theology student, and she had powerful ideas. She was beyond amazing. He shut her up so fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, but she was something amazing. She was the Bruce Springsteen of spirituality.
It's kind of ironic because the books are all about how we're all sort of divinity incarnated, but then he doesn't want to hear from other people's versions.
Well, he does listen to what he wants to listen to, but he shut her up so fast. Please, I'm sorry. It was better than any I've ever been to. And please, Mary, continue. I apologize.
I see if I can remember what I was going to say. I had a couple things. One was like when you talk about the process, to me, it's like I feel an emotion, and then if I can remember to connect to the God love inside of me, that affects my reaction. Not so much my emotion, but my reaction. Like I can, um, and the phrase that seems to me to sum it up best is the simple, what would love do? Like Shabana said, what would Jesus do? And recently there was a meme on Facebook, give me some advice, not about any particular situation, but just sort of general advice. So I sat with it and thought, what is the advice that I would give? And that's what I said was, what would love do next? And I think that if we can remember me, and I'll stick with me, if I can remember in all the moments, the difficult ones, as well as the ones where I'm already connected to the pure love feeling, you know, just go from there. What would love do next? And also the other thing I thought while sitting here, because, it's very easy for me to connect to that love, the pure love energy of the divine. And if I just spent like 5 minutes a day remembering to do that, quietly sit here and just connect to love, how transformative that would probably be in my own life. So that's a commitment I'm going to make right here. And now to do that 5 minutes a day. And if anyone wants to hold me accountable, I would love that. If anyone wants to like do that too, or just check in with me. Anyway, I would love an accountability buddy, but it's not necessary. That's all I have to say. Love you guys.
I've
We
got
love you.
something to say. Um, what I've got to say is, if we realized that the instrument we are is the most refined material, the most refined substance, it wouldn't really be in its best interest to be knocking it up against walls and catching it on barbed wire and fighting with it. So it's like we'd have to realize that first before we could really live into this, because we need to become whatever we express must come from this refined. We need to refine how we interact and even how we think, because just I've been listening, watching stuff, and whatever we think and we say and we do, it's having a vibration out there in the field. So the greater, the more refined our interaction, our ability to reframe our thinking and our words, and the bigger the vibration we have externally. So we are growing the love that way, and we are being the love that way, and we are respecting and allowing the God to express that the God that is love to express through the wisdom of the heart. Yeah.
Well said. Well said.
So much love to that, Anne, and such a good reminder for me personally to just, I think my next resolution, I don't do resolutions for New Year's, but it's that what would love do thing and just like keep my mouth shut if it's not coming from that loving heart space. That will be my goal. Thank you. To only contribute from the loving heart space as much as possible. I'm human. I know, but as much as possible, thank you so much. I really appreciate your clarity.
Well, I love your clarity, and Darby. It's just that I can't live up to it.
You can try. That's what I'm going to do.
Well, I have. I was just
Oh,
setting up what I was going to say next because Neale Donald Walsh. I love this. It's probably my favorite thing in the whole 10 hours. What he was saying is that he was describing his pillow talk with his wife, who's a poet, and he promotes her because she's good and also because he's married to her. So he said, well, I was lying in bed telling M that I'm the biggest hypocrite in the world because I lose my temper and I do idiot things so often. And he said that she said to him, don't worry, everyone has momentary lapses. So that's the story. I mean, my whole life is pockmarked with idiocy. But what he was saying is if you want to make any progress at all, forgive yourself and hang out with people who are willing to give you back to yourself. So there is some humor in it. I wish I could say that about any of the scriptures or about any of the conversations with God books. There's not one joke anywhere. And I've looked.
One time I did this class where we were supposed to come up with our like manifesto for living, basically. So my manifesto for living is number one, love myself unconditionally. Number two, love everyone else unconditionally. Number three, forgive myself when I fail at one and two. Number four, return to one and two, you know?
that's a good one.
Forgiving myself when I fail is big, and I'm good at it now. I'm a pro. Lots of practice.
I think if you're over the age of 15, let's say, we've all got lots of practice. Well, shall we? What's the consensus here? Do you want to move on to the next chapter, or I don't? We're having a fine discussion as it is, um, but I want to hear what other people would like to do at this juncture.
Is it a long chapter?
Let me look. It's average length. Yeah, I would say it's a long chapter.
Well, I have.
We're not going to finish it in a half hour, that's for sure.
Oh, good. Because I have other stuff, more gems. I don't know if you've read so far. Probably you have. Everyone knows the golden rule, right? Well, now he's got the platinum rule in this book.
Right.
You want to recite it or should I? I've never read the book. Never bought it. But
You
I
want-
do have the notes.
Let's see.
I'll read it to you.
Okay, you read it.
Do unto others as they would have it done
Done unto
unto them.
Yep.
I mean, if I was having trouble already, here's more icing on more cakes.
Can you repeat that, Shabana?
See, the golden rule is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Okay? That's old hat. The new one is do unto others as they would have it done unto them.
Right, and let me give you the background on that. It's American sociologist Milton J. Bennett is the one that came up with this. It says platinum is more valuable than gold, and Bennett wanted to come up with a statement that he considered might be more valuable as humans seek to understand what love for another is really about. So his rule was to do unto others as they would have it done unto them.
I kind of struggle with that a little bit. Maybe it's just the wording, because it's almost like give people what they want.
Yeah. Well,
Which
why wouldn't you?
might not be very good for them.
Well, yeah, I can see where I see what you're saying. Right, if a kid just wants sugar or candy but I think it's, again, within the realm of purest love.
I think what I was looking for the one sentence. See, he kept saying throughout the retreat that get a piece of soap and wet it and write this on your bathroom mirror. And what he was basically talking about in this is not sugar for children, Linda. I think it's about forgiveness, that we have to view ourselves as masters who are teachers, and the way we are to look at the world is to see that there's nothing to forgive. And he said that the biggest problem of all of life is, I think I've actually found it. Yeah, I actually found what I was looking for. Forgiveness is the biggest obstacle to spiritual growth. That's basically the takeaway from the retreat. And so when someone really, really hurts us, that's when the platinum rule is to be applied, because he gave the example of how the Pope not only became best friends, this is Jean-Paul II, not only became best friends with the man who shot him 6 times at close range, but also arranged his pardon. Because the idea is that, like God, it's not about judgment or about forgiveness, it's just about understanding. So that was the example that I found most beautiful. So this would-be assassin got out of jail free because the Pope arranged it. And that's what we're aspiring to with this platinum rule.
Are any of you familiar with Immaculate Ilbagisa?
Yeah, I've read her book.
Okay. Excuse me. She is a perfect example of what you were just talking about, Shabana, because with all the hellfire and damnation that she went through, and listening to her family be murdered with machetes out of a, I think, 5 foot by 4 foot bathroom with 7 women stuffed into it, hiding, made it her goal to go into the prison and forgive the men that slaughtered her family. And I remember when I heard her speaking live and Wayne Dyer was still alive and he brought her on stage, I was crying at such a rate. I mean, the steady stream of tears that the whole front of my shirt you could see through because it was so wet and I didn't have a Kleenex. I was like, I just sobbed because I thought I'm at the time I was so angry with my brother for something foolish he did with my mother's estate. And I'm again never going to forgive him. And that's it. And I thought, my God, if this woman can forgive, go in and forgive the people that slaughtered her family. And Immaculée is not the only person. Pope John Paul is not the only person. There are many people who have, as part of their own therapy, request forgive the person that killed their child, that killed their neighbor, that whatever. They've requested because they feel like the not forgiving is the burden is on them. And I think if we remember that and be conscious of it, you'll know when you're really mad at somebody and you just start holding on tight to being irritated with it. It's because you're not letting go of it. You're holding on to that not forgive rope. And if you let it go, you don't have to hold on to it anymore. Over.
How beautifully you've expressed it, and you're so humble. I'm impressed by your sharing that, Lynette.
Well, thank you.
I just want to add that sometimes it's not so easy to let go of that rope. I'm pretty good at it, but not everybody is. And you have to be willing. Sometimes you can start with, I'm willing to be willing to forgive this person if it's something that you want to do. Because sometimes that knot is really hard and you can't get straight to forgiveness. But the willing, I've found that very helpful in the past just to be willing. Also, I'm going to bring this all back down to a less lofty place because for me, when I hear that, um, do unto others as they would have done unto them, it's like, how do you show people your love? Do you show it by doing what you want them to do for you? You know, that's that's the golden rule. But this is saying show love in the way that they will understand it. That's how I'm hearing it. So we don't all understand love in the same way. We don't all, even that there's those 5 love languages kind of thing. And some people want actions versus words versus, so just to me, it's about considering how, like my what would love do next, but in a way that that person can understand, you know, and feel it. So,
And
oh,
I don't think it's easy, nor do I think it was easy for Pope John Paul or Immaculate Ilbagisa or anybody that we know. Because sometimes holding onto that rope, you feel like, okay, I'm not going to fly away into Never Land. I'm not, and you, for some reason, feel like, I don't even think we think about it. We're just holding on to that rope for such dear life or whatever it is that's making us hold on that our arms get so tired. Our arms get so tired And it reminds me of a saying that I heard years ago where this this person rowing a boat trying to get to safety because they're lost at sea. And one of the things that the person who is rowing the boat, and he says, God, my arms are so tired. Will you please take the oars? And I thought, I need to remember that one because God will take the oars. Over.
So just to clarify what I was saying and to go back to what Sarah was saying for a second. Do unto others as they would have you do unto them. It can be a little tricky because if you're dealing with children, for example, and trying to apply that, a child is not going to understand the context within which you're responding. And if a child is in the middle of having a temper tantrum and what they want is, a piece of candy, it could be easy to think that the thing to do is to give them the piece of candy when perhaps that's not the thing to do. Maybe they've already had 6 pieces of candy. Maybe that's why they're already in this agitated state, So that's all I think that's what Sarah was kind of getting at. And that's certainly all I was responding to was, you have to remember the phrase within the context of what it's intended. And then the other thing that I wanted to say is that ultimately, when you truly embrace that everything is divinity, the function of forgiveness disappears.
Yes, you got it, Linda. You always get it absolutely right. I want to tell you a few jokes. Not, but I don't know if he made any. He did. That's all I'm interested in. So, what Neale said is that there was a church somewhere, and they didn't have their regular minister, so they said to him, why don't you come and substitute? So he'd say, hi, good morning, everyone. And God will never forgive you for anything. That's how he'd start his sermon. And he said everyone would be squirming. They'd be going nuts because I'm Muslim. These monotheistic religions have a punishing, angry, violent, mean-spirited God. That's how we run our world, is lock them up. No counseling, no kindness, just, throw away the key if you can. But what he basically was saying is that there is nothing whatsoever to forgive. Children are different because they're not self-regulated. So that's and the other joke he made, which I thought was hilarious, it's sort of added to this one. His hair's sort of puffy and curly and big. So he said that, well, it's no longer this white guy in the sky who's going to punish you. And of course he wears glasses and he's got white hair and he's wearing a striped blue shirt. And he said, come to think of it, I look a lot like him. So I found that pretty funny.
That's good.
My God's wearing a leopard print dress and a flower crown.
You're funnier than him any day. Well done.
I just thought of that platinum rule in another context, because I just had some amazing Christmas presents this year. And Christmas presents are sometimes when people give you what you didn't even know you wanted. And sometimes I was blown away by some of them. They're only simple little homemade things, but how somebody could have imagined that they'd given me what I really, really wanted, but didn't know I wanted until I got it. But that's the platinum rule that's coming to my head.
I know what you
What
mean.
you got? What'd you get?
What did I get? Well, somebody had taken like ages to create a photograph of my friend who had died, and I didn't even know they'd taken that photograph sitting in the sun by the sea. And that present just made me cry. I would have been happy with a box of chocolates, but that was just so lovely. So I guess that's one way of interpreting the rule.
A friend, not this Christmas, but last Christmas, the woman I rent my apartment from actually crocheted me this gorgeous blanket. And it's so complicated. It's like squares, and then there's a flower, and there's little leaves that pull through these holes, and then you have to sew all the squares together. And when I opened that box, I just was like so touched that somebody cared enough about me to go through that much work. And that was something I wouldn't have known I wanted. Because if you told me, do you want a crochet blanket, I'd have been like, I don't need that. But it's beautiful, and the love. It's the love, and that's what you're talking about too. It's, people who put that kind of love into giving you something that you don't even know you wanted. It's beautiful.
Well, now that I've eaten my lunch, I guess I should do the meditation so we can all go home.
I got one more thing, Shabana. Can I say?
Yes.
Just one more thing. When somebody gives you what they think you would love, or like in Sarah's case, her friend that she loved, they had a nice photograph and they created this. This is a very loving, this is like reaching into the love of the other person, isn't it? Reaching from our heart into what they would love. Because with children, sometimes some parents manage them. I'm lucky I had no management, but that makes me a bit on the wild side. But they manage them without knowing what the essence of that little creature would love. So this is a whole other way of being, isn't it? Reaching into the heart of the other person. Yeah, thank you. I'm getting the gist now. Thank you.
Yes, beautifully expressed.
Yes, thank you. Okay, Shabana, take it away.
Thank you. Lord God, you are the feeling of love. That is the God solution. And as Anne just said, we need to reach into the heart of the person. We have it in us to radiate love in so many pure ways, and to comfort those who are radiating love in a distorted way. Show us how to build the new world the way all the spiritual masters have demonstrated Now our meditation, Linda, Mary, Nanette, Anne, and Shabana are here now, trusting that the purity of our intention and the alignment and the collective pooling of our hearts is making the purest love the new standard, the new platinum standard for life here now. Amen. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Shabana.
Thank you, Shabana.
And although today's discussion was a little different than our normal format, I really enjoyed it. And I felt like I heard some real pearls of wisdom. And I appreciate all of you. And I do love all of you. And if I had the time, I would give you special presents. And maybe that's just to come in the future. But I mean that about each and every one of you. I just feel very tight knit with you all. And I'm glad I know you. And I love you.
And Nanette, your courage and faith and just your devotion are a real beacon. I admire and respect you. Thank you for running this.
Thank you.
And thank you, Linda, for your wisdom. I just think the world of you. And I'm not sending anyone any gifts, but and I'm not buying any either or making them. So don't hold your breath. But I do want to tell you, Anne Darby, that your last comment was what got that meditation rolling. So I appreciate it. Thank you. And I don't know where Sarah's gone, but she's wonderful. And Mary, you are amazing. Did I say anything about Linda? Yeah, I did. Good.
Yes, you did. I love you. I really love you all so much. And it's true, you know, everyone contributes in their own special way with their own special heart wisdom. And it just makes such a beautiful group here. And, you know, you are all seriously one of the highlights of my week connecting with you and seeing your beautiful faces, the energy of your hearts. You know, I love you all so much. It's beautiful.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Love you too.
Oh, there you are, Sarah. I didn't say anything good about you.
I was there all the time.
I'll have to scratch my head now. No, I'm just kidding. Just joking. I love you, Sarah. You're just so beautiful inside and out, and everything you say is thoughtful and uplifting. And I'm glad you came back so I could at least give you my true assessment of your contributions. Thank you.
Thank you, Shabana.
Okay, everybody.
Gift is being
Go
here,
ahead.
isn't it?
I'm sorry.
I
Go
was
ahead.
just saying the gift is like the gift, Nanette, that you are enabling is being here together.
Yes.
Thank you. And it really does mean so much to me. Even though at 10 minutes to the hour, I'm running around going, oh my God, where's my book? Or, oh my goodness, where's this? Oh my God, I got to go check to see if anybody's in a waiting room. And you know what? It's all part of the pleasure. And I mean, if it weren't that routine and if it weren't with this group of people, I mean, if it was a really large group of people where most of the people we don't really ever get to know, then I'd really be in a panic. But because I know you all know me and you know what my intentions are, so that if I'm running late or didn't see you in the waiting room, it's just part of our tradition, and it reminds me of something that could turn into a really beautiful book about women who make this bond.
Mhm.
Well, I'm a little more ambitious. We're building the new world, Nanette.
Yes.
We are.
But the bond isn't bad.
Well, the bond is what builds it.
Yes, you're right.
It's the web of love, you know.
Yes, absolutely. I apologize for that crass joke.
Oh, never apologize for your jokes, crass or otherwise, to me.
Yeah, really not on my account either.
Well, that was a good first quote for 2021, wasn't it?
Yes, that's a great point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yay,
Beautiful.
2021.
Woohoo! We made it.
That's right. Yes, we made it. Yes. See you later, 2020. Much later.
Nanette, when do you move?
This time the date is the 12th of January.
Oh,
So
And is that after your second shot?
my second shot comes 2 days after that. So, and
I'll hold that date in my head. 12th of January.
yeah, 12th of January. Oh, 12th of January. Oh, sweet baby Jesus. 12th of January. Please. All right, everybody. Love you all.
Love you.
Love you all.
Thanks for keeping me in
See
your
you
thoughts.
next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.